Welcome to the Silent Screams, where every story you'll hear is drawn from the shadows of reality. True accounts whispered through time of the things that watch us when we think we're alone. If you love exploring real horror, haunted places, and chilling true stories from around the world, then stay with us. Because once you enter this world, you'll never look at the dark the same way again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice keeps the stories alive, and your curiosity keeps the darkness listening. Now, turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and let's begin tonight's story.
It was one of those nights that felt too still, the kind where even the air seemed to listen. Samantha sat on the edge of her bed, her eyes half open, watching the dim light of the baby monitor cast a pale reflection across the wall. The soft static hum had become her lullaby over the past month. It meant Lily was safe. It meant she could breathe. Outside, the Wisconsin wind brushed against the siding, whispering through the trees. Inside, the house slept. No creaks, no movement, only the rhythmic sound of her daughter's breathing through the tiny speaker. Motherhood had changed the way she heard silence. Every pause in that faint sound could snap her awake like a gunshot. Every small noise, the heater's hum, a shifting floorboard, could send a rush of panic up her spine. Tonight was no different. She leaned closer to the monitor. Lily was peaceful, wrapped tightly in her blanket, the faint rise and fall of her chest visible through the grayscale feed. For a moment, Samantha smiled. The exhaustion, the anxiety, the long nights, all of it softened when she looked at that small image. But something about the feed looked off. The shadows around the crib were darker than usual. The angle of the camera seemed slightly shifted, as if someone had brushed against it. She frowned, adjusting the antenna. The static fluttered, then cleared. The picture sharpened. Everything was fine. She exhaled, finally letting herself drift towards sleep. But before she closed her eyes, the baby monitor made a soft popping noise, like a tiny spark of electricity. Then came a flicker. Just once. Barely visible, a blur of motion passed across the bottom of the screen. She froze, her pulse thudding quietly beneath the static. Nothing moved again. The image remained still. The crib, the baby, the same quiet safety. And yet, something deep inside her whispered that she hadn't imagined it, that something had moved. Samantha couldn't sleep after that. The flicker on the baby monitor stayed burned in her mind like an after-image, a moment she wasn't even sure had happened. Still, her pulse hadn't slowed since then. She told herself it was nothing, the Wi-Fi, a glitch, a shadow, but the longer she stared at the tiny green light on the monitor, the more alive it seemed. At 12:46 a.m., she sat upright again. The monitor hummed faintly, showing Lily's small form sleeping peacefully. Everything looked normal. But then, in the corner of the frame, something moved again. It wasn't fast, more like a slow drift, something sliding across the edge of the camera's field of view. A shadow. It paused just long enough to make her doubt her own eyes. She leaned closer, heart hammering, her breath fogging the cool glass of the screen. The movement stopped. The shadows seemed thicker near the crib, darker than they should have been. Samantha whispered to herself, "It's just the light." The words felt weak. She reached for her phone and opened the camera app, switching to the feed from the smart baby monitor. Maybe the screen on the bedside unit was old. Maybe it was just distortion. But the phone feed looked the same. That same corner. That same darkness pulsing faintly like it was breathing. She zoomed in. The image blurred for a moment, then sharpened, and she saw something that made her throat tighten. There was a shape. Something low to the ground, hunched beside the crib. Not big, about the size of a person crouching. It didn't move, it didn't sway, it simply was. Her mind scrambled for logic. Maybe a shadow cast from the window, maybe the baby mobile. She turned her head toward the nursery door down the hallway. The faint glow from the nightlight spilled out beneath the crack. Everything was silent. But on the monitor, that darkness didn't feel like shadow anymore. It had depth, weight, like something crouching there, waiting. Samantha whispered again, almost pleading, "Please, just be my eyes playing tricks." And then the shape turned its head, just slightly, as if it had heard her. The air inside the bedroom changed, thicker somehow, colder. Samantha didn't move. Her body refused. She just stared at that tiny screen glowing in the dark, her mind trying to make sense of what she saw. The figure beside the crib was real. It wasn't flicker, static, or shadow. It was something there. Its outline shifted slightly. Long, thin limbs bent in impossible ways. Its spine curved like it had grown wrong. One arm rested on the edge of the crib, motionless. Her pulse roared in her ears. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. Every part of her wanted to scream, but she couldn't even open her mouth. Through the tiny speaker, she heard the faint sound of breathing. Heavy, uneven. Not her baby's. It was closer to the camera. Then the thing moved. Slowly, deliberately, it straightened. The motion was wrong, like bones grinding against each other. Its head lifted toward the camera, toward her. She could barely make out a face in the low infrared light, just the suggestion of one. Smooth, too pale, stretched skin over something hollow. Its head tilted, like it was studying you through the screen. Samantha's trembling hand reached for the baby monitor. Her fingertip brushed the talk button, but she stopped herself. What if it answered back? The figure took one step closer to the crib. The monitor crackled. For a brief second, she thought she heard a sound, a whisper, low and distorted. "Don't wake her." Her stomach turned to ice. Then silence. The static died. The feed froze mid-frame. She shot out of bed, her heart racing so hard she could barely think. Her bare feet hit the cold floor as she ran down the hall. The nursery light was still glowing faintly through the crack under the door. She pushed it open. The room was empty. Lily slept peacefully, the blanket rising and falling with each soft breath. Samantha stood frozen in the doorway, unable to move closer. She stared at the crib, her throat tight, eyes burning with tears. There was no one there, no sign of anything. And yet she could still feel it, the weight of something standing just inches from where she was now, watching, waiting.
Samantha stood in the nursery doorway, her breath trembling in short, uneven bursts. The light above the crib flickered once, weak and tired, as if the room itself had exhaled. Everything looked calm, too calm. Lily slept soundly, her little fists curled beneath her chin. Samantha forced herself to take a step forward. The wooden floor creaked under her heel, and the sound felt impossibly loud. She glanced toward the baby monitor on the dresser. Its small green light blinked steadily, but the screen was blank, frozen and static. Her mind spun through explanations. A glitch, a reflection, sleep deprivation, anything that didn't sound insane. She reached for the camera perched on the shelf above the crib, the same one she had installed weeks ago, right before her husband's work trip. She adjusted it slightly, turning it toward her. The screen on the monitor flickered back to life in the bedroom behind her, picking up her movement in real time. And then something shifted in the frame. In the reflection of the monitor, behind her, in the shadowed corner near the closet, something was standing there. Her muscles locked. Slowly, she turned her head. The corner was empty. She glanced back at the monitor again and saw it. A face, pale, too smooth, pressed close to the lens of the camera, staring directly at her. For one horrible heartbeat, it was motionless. Then its mouth began to move, not opening, not forming words, but stretching, a smile that split too wide, too wrong. The monitor began to hum, the static deepening into a low, vibrating growl. She could hear faint laughter beneath it, distant, muffled, like a child giggling underwater. Samantha stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the crib's leg. She yanked the camera from the shelf, the feed cutting out instantly. The room fell silent except for her baby's soft breathing. Her eyes darted to every corner, her chest heaving. Nothing, just shadows and the faint scent of baby powder in the air. But she couldn't shake the image from her mind, that smile. It wasn't human. It wasn't curious. It was aware, like it had been waiting for her to see it. For a moment, Samantha stood frozen in the nursery, the silence so thick she could hear the blood in her ears. The faint hum of the baby monitor was gone. Only the soft creak of the house remained, the sound of wood settling under the cold Wisconsin air. She forced her body to move, step by step, until she stood beside the crib. Her knees trembled as she reached down and touched Lily's blanket. Still breathing, still warm, still here. Samantha exhaled shakily. "It's just the camera," she whispered. "It's broken. It's nothing." But her voice didn't sound right. It was too small, too fragile. The voice of someone trying to convince the dark that it wasn't alive. That's when she heard it, a faint, deliberate creak. It came from behind her. She turned slowly toward the closet. The door was slightly open, just an inch. She didn't remember leaving it that way. The smell hit her first, faintly metallic, like rust or old coins. Then came another creak, softer this time, like the slow shifting of weight on wood. Her hands started to shake. She wanted to run, to grab her daughter and leave the room. But the part of her that needed to know what she was hearing kept her rooted to the spot. "Hello?" she said softly. No answer. Her eyes locked on the darkness between the closet door and the frame. It was too black, an unnatural black, deeper than the rest of the room. She imagined something crouched there, breathing shallow, smiling with that same distorted grin. Another sound, this time faint, rhythmic, like the sound of fingers tapping gently on wood from the inside. Her vision blurred. Her instincts screamed leave, but she couldn't make her legs move. Then Lily stirred, a soft sigh from the crib that snapped her out of her paralysis. She grabbed her daughter, pressing her small body to her chest, feeling her heartbeat, proof that she was real, alive, safe. Without looking back, she whispered, "Not tonight," and stepped backward out of the nursery. Her eyes never left that sliver of darkness, until the door finally clicked shut. Behind it, the tapping stopped, and in that sudden silence, she thought she heard it. The faintest sound of breathing pressed against the other side of the door. Back in her room, she tried to convince herself she'd imagined it. Lily was asleep in her arms. That was the only thing that mattered. But the stillness of the house made her nerves ache. The air felt thick again, heavy with that same faint, metallic smell. She set Lily gently on the bed, pulling the blanket over her. Then she reached for the baby monitor lying on the dresser. It had switched itself on. The tiny green light blinked like an eye. She hesitated, her finger hovering over the power button. The screen came to life before she touched it. The feed from the nursery appeared, gray, grainy, still. The crib was empty. For several seconds she stared, her mind refusing to catch up. Lily was here, asleep beside her, but the screen showed the nursery exactly as she had left it. The same lamp, the same soft shadows. No baby. A shape shifted near the crib rail, pale against the dark. It rose, slow and deliberate, until the frame filled with its outline. Tall, thin, crooked. It faced the camera, though its head seemed to hang too low on its neck. The static thickened, turning into a low pulse that vibrated through the speaker. She pressed the monitor to her chest, trying to muffle it, but the sound didn't stop. Beneath the static, a voice began to form, soft, stretched, almost tender. "You took her from me." Her stomach lurched. She unplugged the monitor, but the whisper didn't fade. It sunk lower, turning into words she could barely understand. She was mine. The lights in the room flickered. Lily stirred on the bed, a soft sigh escaping her lips. She scooped her up and held her tight, rocking back and forth as the monitor fell silent. Then one final burst of static hissed through the speaker. This time, the voice sounded closer. No distortion, no distance. "I can find her again." The screen went black. Samantha stood there shaking, clutching her baby in the dark, and finally understood what real fear felt like. Not of death, but of something that wanted life more than she did.
The silence that followed was worse than the voice. Samantha stood in the dark, holding Lily close, listening. The air conditioner had stopped. The refrigerator downstairs had gone quiet. Every ordinary hum of the house seemed to have vanished. Even the night outside sounded hollow. Then the baby monitor gave a single click. The green light blinked on again. Her breath caught. She hadn't plugged it back in. A soft hiss filled the room. Static, faint at first, like wind in a tunnel. She set Lily down on the bed and stared at the screen. It was blank. No image, no signal, just white noise. The sound grew louder. The pitch sharpened until it felt like needles in her ears. Samantha covered the speaker, whispering, "Stop, please stop." But beneath the static, words began to form again, broken at first, like a child trying to learn speech. "Give her back." Her chest tightened. She turned toward the hallway, half expecting to see someone standing there. Nothing. Just darkness swallowing the walls. The static pulsed once, then twice in rhythm with her heartbeat. "You took her. She's mine." The room temperature dropped. She could see her breath hanging in front of her face. The shadows near the doorway began to move, not with the light, but against it, slow and deliberate, like something crawling up from the floor. Samantha snatched Lily into her arms and pressed her against her chest. "Leave us alone," she whispered, trembling. "You can't have her." The monitor crackled again, sharper this time. The voice came clearer, closer. "I already had her once." Then a piercing shriek exploded from the speaker. Samantha screamed, throwing the monitor to the floor. It shattered, the sound cutting off instantly. Silence returned. Only Lily's cries filled the room now. Real, alive, human. Samantha sank to her knees, tears mixing with sweat. But through the sobs and shaking, she could still hear it faintly in the back of her mind. The soft rhythm of static, whispering as if from inside the walls.